What's up, y'all? It's Calvin here, and I want to holler at you guys and give you a shortage update on what's going on with the school systems nationwide. They are being affected by food shortages, and this is caused by the same culprits during the pandemic: labor shortages and supply chain stoppages. Okay, and as you can see here, you have both the Carolinas, their school systems. You have school systems in Iowa and also in Alabama, and the list goes on and on. But just real quick to touch on the labor shortages. There are some companies out there, particularly in the restaurant and warehouse business. They are really pushing the robot thing really hard. And as you can see here, Madison Heights Restaurant brings in robots amid worker shortage. In Amazon, they are doing all kinds of things, and there are several warehouses who are following suit. And this is something that people who work in that field need to take a look at, because pretty soon you might have to pivot. So just wanted to put that information out there. And also on the flip side, I wanted to touch on this article real fast. And it's because of fast food staff shortages, it forced the corporate office to step in as cooks at the company called Raising Cane. But I think that's a chicken joint. And, seeing this article, I just thought that this was pretty cool. There's still a business out there that is still trying to employ people and keep their business afloat to the point to where they got their own, fat cats to fill the cooks and server spots. So very cool. Shout out to them. If anybody, is looking for a job in food service, Raising Cane will probably be a very good company to work for, because they're showing you, that they ain't going out and getting robots. They are taking off the suits and the ties, and they're pulling up their sleeves. So once again, shout out to Raising Cane. So anyways, moving on, I wanted to touch on this very important aspect of this whole situation right here. And due to the food shortages in some school districts, they're going to go back to remote learning. All right. And if your kids are subject to this, thank God and count your blessings for it. Because as I mentioned a few months back, that this school year was going to be very interesting. And so far it has been. And it looks like it's going to get a whole lot worse. We have a story coming out of Virginia in Loudoun County. And you see the article here. It says, Loudoun County father who was dragged out of woke school board meeting reveals his daughter was raped in the girls' bathroom by a skirt-wearing male student who was arrested for assaulting a second girl months later, but staff did nothing. All right, and that's straight up and down. That's a cover-up. And this is going on all over the country, and it's been going on for years. There's schools on the East Coast that have had, basically like cults, and they just turning girls out. The Irritated Genie, he speaks about these things because it was actually going on in the DC area. And so I'll leave links below for that if I can find it, because they are removing a lot of his videos. But anyways, there's something else that I wanted to touch on with this that I mentioned earlier, was that with this particular generation, there's a battle for their education, and you can plainly see in a lot of the politics that's going on with different races and stuff like that. Schools are at the forefront with the CRT, the transgender movement, the LGBT, so on and so forth. And with the LGBT movement, this is the end result. Sexual deviancy, because these people, their identity is based solely on a sexual act, and they are aggressively pushing on every level when it comes to influence and power to push this and force this into the schools. And there was a politician in North Carolina named Mark Robinson who's catching a whole lot of heat, but I'm going to leave a link of a video where he goes through and shows some of the curriculum that is being taught in some of the North Carolina schools, where it's showing dudes going down in each other and all of that stuff, and he shows it, you know what I mean? And reading the article, though, you come down to the bottom. The title is called Mark Robinson's Filth is New, but the message to LGBTQ folks in North Carolina isn't. All right. Down here, there was something very interesting in this article that I wanted to touch on, and make people aware of. And it's just this last paragraph right here, where it kind of speaks of what Mark Robinson is doing, okay, by people who are pushing for this curriculum to, show children sexual acts and things like that in school. This is how they feel, all right? And it says, these beliefs are harmful. Policies like the amendment to the state constitution are harmful. Robinson's words are harmful. But what's more harmful is how they lead North Carolina's LGBT community to live in fear, especially if allies don't act. All right. And the ally part is very key, because there's a lot of people who claim that they're straight and things of that nature, that they're pushing this stuff and they're okay with it amongst children. And only a pedophile would do that. You know what I'm saying? Like gay, straight, or otherwise. Like only a pedophile would want this put there. And once you see the curriculum that this guy is showing, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. There's no way around it. Only a pedophile would show that to a child. You know what I mean? And his message was not anti and against these people. He was willing to fight for their rights. He was just drawing a line at the children when they're, showing a guy going down on another dude. And this is supposed to be education, sexual acts, all of that stuff like that. So, very, very interesting aspect of this situation. So something to keep an eye on, particularly with your parents. And, count your lucky stars if they go back to the homeschool learning. All right. But first, just give you the end game and the example of what we could be facing when it comes to these food shortages, because it seems like it's just whispers now. But soon you're going to be in a situation to where like you ain't going to be able to go anywhere without hearing somebody's stomach growl. All right. And because the same people that caused the situation in Venezuela, they're causing the same situation that we're going through now. The same people are in charge. And if you take a look at this article here about Venezuela, this came out in 2016, all right? And it says famine. It says nearly 90% of Venezuelans have no money for food. And if you look at the picture here that I have below here, that line is for food rations. They're going into that building that says Garzon, all right? That's a grocery store out there, and like people have been killed in this same line. All kind of stuff has happened in this line waiting for food, and the further this thing goes on, because this is taking place worldwide, and like the further it goes on, it only increases the probability for it to happen here. And as I said before, we are starting to hear the whispers getting stronger and stronger. Okay, and so as a solution, which should be no surprise to anybody, is to start growing your food. All right. And as you can see here, where I have these clips, this is my own personal garden of what I'm growing in my crib. You can see the almond milk cartons I got set up there, you know what I'm saying? And I'll show you a picture of my drill that I use to cut the holes with, and I got me a circular saw attachment for it to be able to drill my holes. And I am going to be setting up a channel on YouTube called Fudge Knuckles, dealing with DIY recipes and my gardening journey. So and straight up and down, I've been making a whole lot of mistakes. As a matter of fact, if you look at these potatoes right here, this is my last winter's harvest. All right, this is all I got from a last winter's harvest, these 4 little rinky-dink potatoes. But if you look here, you'll see that I went out and got me some more seed potatoes, and I got a little bit more savvy, a little bit more hip in what I'm doing, and I didn't give up. Next season, I'm right back at it. If you see here, I'm also experimenting with some sweet potatoes. For those of you that are, experienced gardeners, you know that this is not the time to plant sweet potatoes and things of that nature. So I'm trying to plant them a little early, because I feel it's necessary to, really push the issue and find out for myself what it is that I can and can't do. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to cuttings, a lot of people say don't cut below the notch. Well, when I hear that, I will purposely cut above the notch on a couple of cuttings, and just to see if I can get them to root. You know what I mean? And I've had success doing that. So now I know if I get into a situation to where it isn't feasible to have something cut just perfectly or have it just right, I can still make it work. And that's the whole thing behind my channel. Just trial and error, you know what I'm saying? Watching me fail so you guys can save some money, you know what I'm saying, maybe, and share the information so that others can have it, because my whole thing behind this is to be able to grow enough food that I can take care of my household and bless other people. Sooner or later, we're gonna have to, depend on each other, because you see what is on the other side of that line. It is a government that is putting the squeeze on us. They don't care about us, and they're purposely doing things to us to push and prod us in certain vulnerable positions. And it is never gonna stop until they get total dominion over us. And you can clearly see here, looking at the pictures in Venezuela, the same cast of characters, the same World Bank, the same Western governments. You know what I mean? Look at Australia, what's going on. They're locking these places down. And like one period of lockdown was over one person. One person, you know what I mean? And they would take you to jail if they caught you outside. You know what I mean? All kind of stuff. So think it's a game, man. Think it's a game. And you're going to be in that line. It's the pod roast.
The Lord is a man of war, and the Lord is his name. Yeah, yeah, yeah.